Hi everyone, how are you? And welcome back to the Library Corner. We are at East High School today, and I'm very glad that everyone is here. We are talking today about, I have a question. Have you ever received a gift and you really didn't like that gift, but your mom said you had to say thank you anyway, and you knew you just really didn't want that gift, but you had to take it? Well, this is a story about a little boy we're starting off with today who receives some dreadful sweaters, and it's entitled Lester's Dreadful Sweaters. And I didn't have any dreadful sweaters in my closet, so I tried to wear the busiest sweater that I could find. And you can see I have feathers and spots and all kinds of things on this sweater, and really it's not a dreadful sweater, not like Lester's dreadful sweaters. So let's see what happens in our book today. And I want to tell you that Lester's Dreadful Sweaters is by K.G. Campbell. And K.G. Campbell is an author who is a first-time author. This was his first book, and he won the Ezra Jack Keats Award for the illustrations in the book. And that's what the Ezra Jack Keats Award is for. It's for an illustrator or author who is a first-time illustrator or author, and it's a really, really good book. And so his award, the Ezra Jack Keats Award, he was a runner-up. He didn't get the gold medal that year, but it's a very good book, and the illustrations are very, very funny. So let's see, Lester's Dreadful Sweaters. Look at that. Cousin Clara's cottage was consumed by a crocodile. Luckily, Cousin Clara wasn't in it. Upon hearing the news, Lester disapproved. Cottages, he muttered, aren't meant for munching. He added crocodiles to his list of suspicious stuff, starting with C. Then he checked that his socks were even and combed his hair. No one knew exactly who Cousin Clara was, so she came to stay with Lester's family. She was little and frilly and came with a basket of knitting. I added crocodiles to my list, Lester assured her. At first, everything went well enough. Clara didn't make unsavory noises or rearrange Lester's lost and found collection. All she did was sit and knit, clickety-click, clickety-click. One morning she said, "I made you a sweater." And Lester thought, how kind, until he saw it. It was shriveled, yet saggy. It had holes where it shouldn't and none where it should. It was less than pleasant yellow and smothered with purple pom-poms. It was dreadful. "Say thank you, Lester," said Lester's mother. "Thank you," whispered Lester. "He'll wear it to school," said Lester's father. Lester's day did not go well. Mr. Twist didn't compliment his carefully combed hair, which he always did, and Enid Measles made a less than pleasant remark. Later, Lester's sweater was discovered in the laundry, all stringy and shrunken. "What a mysterious accident," said Lester. "Not to worry," said Cousin Clara, and she kept on knitting, clickety-click, clickety-click. The next morning, there was another sweater. This one covered bits it shouldn't and didn't cover bits it should. It was an irksome pink and dotted with oddly placed upside-down pockets. It was ghastly. "Don't you look handsome?" said Lester's mother as she handed him his lunch. Lester's day went worse than the one before. Mr. Twist didn't notice his nicely knotted tie, which he always did, and Enid Measles said several irksome things. Later, Lester's sweater was discovered in the yard, shredded by the lawnmower. "It's an inexplicable tragedy," said Lester. "Never mind," said Cousin Clara, and still she knitted, clickety-click, clickety-click. The next sweater was repulsively pumpkin, uncommonly crooked, and had a hideous hood. It unraveled in the rain and got washed down a drain. The next was an awful olive and had alarmingly large buttons. It was pecked to pieces by several outraged ostriches. Then there was the terribly turquoise one with several unexpected sleeves. It got stolen by ne'er-do-wells. It seemed that as fast as she could knit them, Cousin Clara's creations were doomed to disaster. I have curiously bad luck with sweaters, Lester explained. Luckily, said Cousin Clara, I am a curiously speedy knitter. That night, after bedtime, Lester could hear a frantic clickety-click, clickety-click. At dawn, he arose to a bone-chilling sight. In the parlor loomed a woolly mountain of cruel colors, appalling polka dots, frightening stripes, startling tassels, and things with 6 fingers. Oh, no, wailed Lester. Enid Measles' party is today. They found him crouched amidst the remains of grimly dismembered garments. He clutched a large pair of scissors, and his hands were covered with red yarn. Lester's parents said some loud and angry stuff. Lester said he was sorry. Cousin Clara didn't say anything. She just smiled and held up another sweater. When Lester arrived at Enid's, Mrs. Measles said, "You must be with the clowns." "I'm doomed," Lester explained, "to a life of dreadful sweaters." Lester disapproved of clowns. "Noses," he mumbled, "are not for honking." But the clowns liked Lester. "We love your sweater," they told him. "You don't think," gasped Lester, "it's dreadful?" "The feathers and feet," said the clowns, "are super cute." "Would you," asked Lester hopefully, "like your own?" "There are more?" shrieked the clowns. "By now," said Lester, "there should be tons. Follow me." On seeing Cousin Clara's freshly knitted collection, the clowns went nuts. "So stylish," they cried. "So fresh, so inspired." "Oh, stop," giggled Cousin Clara, knitting away, clickety-click. "We'll take them all," declared the head clown. "Can you make more?" Cousin Clara, Lester assured him, is a curiously speedy knitter. On the spot, Cousin Clara was offered a job knitting for the whole troop. "Does your act," asked Cousin Clara, "involve crocodiles?" It didn't, but the position did include a fanciful caravan of Clara's very own, so she accepted the offer and packed up her knitting. "Won't you," asked the clowns, "miss your family?" "I'm not sure," said Cousin Clara, "if we're even related." After everyone was gone, Lester discovered a honking nose and a left-behind sweater. It was a gruesome hue of maroon and had itchy, ill-fitting bits with bells. Lester eyed the garbage can, but then he carefully cataloged both things and added them to the lost and found. "Just in case," he murmured, "I ever become a clown." The end. So, my question is, did you notice that the words in the book sometimes all had the same letter in front of them? Like Cousin Clara and that her cottage was chomped by a crocodile. Those words, when words all begin with the same letter and they have the same sound to them, that's called alliteration. And this book was full of alliteration. There was alliteration everywhere in the book, and I absolutely loved it. I think it was wonderful. Stringy and shrunken. And what about some of the names in the book? Were those unusual? Enid Measles. Nobody wants measles, and we have an outbreak of them. And her name was Enid Measles. Can you imagine what kind of girl that was with the name Enid Measles? And Mr. Twist, and Cousin Clara. So there were a lot of fun words in this book. Repulsively pumpkin was one of his sweaters. The next day was an awful olive and had alarmingly large buttons. That was a lot of alliteration right there. So this book had a lot of alliteration. Poor Lester. He had a lot of trouble with all of those sweaters, didn't he? So maybe next time if you get a gift that you really don't want, don't go after it with a pair of scissors. But you have to say thank you anyway and just kind of shove it off to the side. Hi, it's time for the book talk part of our show. And I have 2 books that I want to talk to you about. But instead of getting the books off of the library shelf, I want to show them to you on our virtual shelf, the electronic shelf. So I am going to take you to the Follett shelf that we have for the electronic books, and we're going to go to the Erie School District website, www.eriesd.org, and we're going to click on the Student tab. And when we go to the Student tab, we're going to go down to F for Follett, and we're going to click on Follett Destiny, the library catalog. And so when we get to Follett Destiny and click on that, you click on whatever school you go to. So if you go to Joanna Connell School, you're going to click on Joanna Connell. If you go to Deal, you're going to click on Deal. And so once you click on that, then you are going to see your school's homepage, and you are going to log in. You're going to click on Log in the upper right-hand corner and put in your password. Now, if you're K to 5, you're going to put in your lunch number 2 times, lunch number. And if you're 6 through 12, you are going to put in your lunch number or your school ID number and the password that you have created. And your name will appear in the upper right-hand corner. So from there, we are going to click on Catalog, and we notice over here that we have the Follett shelf. And so I'm going to click on Follett shelf, and it's going to take me to the Follett shelf. Now, boys and girls, I'm also going to tell you that there is an app for the Follett shelf. And so if you have an Android phone or an iPhone or an iPad, or you want the app, you just have to go to your Google store or your Apple Store and just put in the word Follett, Follett, and you will see that Follett Destiny comes up, and you can download that app. And when you're downloading the app, you do need to put in the location, the IP location of what school you're at, and you can get that from me, and my email address will be on the screen when we're done with this segment. Okay? So we are now at the Follett shelf, and we have all kinds of books. We can see that we have all kinds of books here, and I am going to search for the book Wonder. And Wonder is a really, really great book, and the author is R.J. Palacio. And we kind of talked about Wonder in our very, very first segment. And sometimes the libraries have that book and sometimes they do not. But I want you to know that on our Follett shelf, Wonder is here and we can check it out. We just merely click on the cover of the book and it says open. And I'm going to open that. And so we know that Wonder is about a boy named Augie who has been homeschooled. He is going into the 5th grade and he's been homeschooled because Augie is horrifically disfigured, and he was born disfigured, and his mother and father didn't want him going to school. They sort of were protecting him. And so when we meet Augie, he is going into the 5th grade, and the story is about Augie's first year in public school, and it's told from a number of perspectives. It's told from the perspective of Augie and his sister and his mother and his father. And in this book, there is one boy, because there's always one boy, who is a very, very mean boy to Augie, and his name is Julian. And I'm going to show you, so Julian is his nemesis. Julian is Augie's nemesis, and he's a really rotten kid. And he's one of those kids that plays nice. All the adults think that he's a really nice kid, but he's not. So as we look at here's the cover of Wonder, and I am going to move the book. We're going to use the gray arrows on the side, and we're going to move the book forward. And here we have the contents. And here we have part 1, August. And so we could read through the book, and I want to click. I'm going to click in the middle, and you're going to see all of my special features come up. This, of course, is my bookmark, and if I wanted to leave the book, I could click on the bookmark and create a bookmark, and then click right here on the shelf of books and go back to the Follett shelf. I also want you to see that over here in the lower right-hand corner, there is an uppercase A and a lowercase a, and that takes me to my display options. And I can view 1 page, I can view 2 pages. As you can see there, I clicked to 2 pages. And I can magnify it, I can zoom in, I can zoom out, I can change my screen color. I can change it to black with white letters. And I can change it to white with black letters. And so then I just click in the middle and it goes back to the, and there's the book. And the book is exactly the way you would see the book if you were holding the book. And I'm going to tell you also, I'm going to click in the middle again. If you notice, there's a little loudspeaker down here. And by clicking on that loudspeaker, it tells me that, or by just hovering over the loudspeaker, it tells me that this book can be read to me by the computer. And it's really not a very good rendering of someone reading to you, but it's kind of good if you want to know how to pronounce a word, if you don't know how to pronounce a word. I want to show you some of my special buttons over here. This is my information button. It gives me all of the information about the book. And so I'm going to click, and I'm going to see that this book it's supported with the dictionary, the highlighting, and the text. And this book is not checked out. I could check it out right here, but I don't want to check it out. And I'm going to click on the X. Now, you may wonder what the dictionary is. I mean, I'm sure maybe you know that a dictionary is a book that tells us what a word means. And in this case, if we were reading, we would hover over the word that we want. If you didn't know what the word meant, you hover over the word and click, and now you can see that that word, we can either highlight that word, we can copy that word, we can make a note of that word, or we can look it up in the dictionary. And so I'm going to click on dictionary, and it tells me that ordinary is regular or usual condition or course of things. It's nothing out of the ordinary is our example. And so there's the dictionary. It tells you what the words mean. Not all of the words are supported in the dictionary. Some of the books in here are technical books, and so this is just the Webster's Dictionary. It doesn't have words that are particular to one subject, because I was looking at something about the about black paratroopers for the African American month, and I was looking for books, and there was a book in here on black paratroopers, but it didn't have some of the technical words about paratroopers in there. They weren't supported in the dictionary. I can also highlight words. So if I wanted to highlight the word ordinary, I could highlight that word, and boom, that word's highlighted, and then I know that maybe I have to study that word for vocabulary. This feature, if you see that magnifying glass, is a search feature, and maybe not so much in fiction books, but in nonfiction books, you can search for a particular phrase. So if you're looking for a phrase about, if your teacher says, I want you to go in and I want you to find a book and I want you to look up cell or cells, or if you wanted to look up animal biology, you could search for that phrase and it would find that phrase within the book for you. And so that's what the search feature does. It also, though, is good if you're looking for a phrase in a book and you know that it's in that book and you know that phrase or quote came from that book, you can use that as well. So those are some of the kind of the neat features that these that the online books have. And also, here is my note-taking feature, and I'm going to click on it, and so you can add notes, and it will take you, when you are done, if you you will always have those notes until you get rid of them. So if you wanted to make a note of the quote at the beginning of the book Wonder by Natalie Merchant from her song Wonder, you could make note of that and you could give it a title and you could save it, and it would save it in your account because you've logged in through your account. So that's another nice feature, and maybe not always for the fiction, but for the nonfiction, it's a really great addition. So, and then when we're done, we're just going to click out of there. Click the X. So quite a nice feature. And so you can just read the book. Also, if you'll notice down here, I'm on page 12 and 13, and I can still click I can still use the arrows on either side of the pages to navigate through the book, or I can click right here and use this button to take me forward and backward and use the go forward and backward in the pages in the book. Okay, so another nice feature. So when we want to get out of here, we just click in the middle and we go back to the Follett shelf, and it says, do you want to check out and close? Do you want to continue reading? Nope, I just want to close the title. Okay, so we just talked about Wonder, and there is a sequel to Wonder. If you have read Wonder, we all know that the bad guy in the book was Julian, and even if you haven't, to know that Julian is the bad guy is not a big, it's not a big plot giver-outer. And so in the libraries, we don't have the sequel to Wonder, but on the shelf we do, and it's called the Julian chapter, and it's called A Wonder Story. So I'm just going to click and open that really quick. And this is Julian's perspective of what happened with Augie that horrible, horrible year. And I don't think it's, there it is, the Julian chapter, A Wonder Story. And it's sort of a perspective that we didn't get in Wonder, even though we did get a lot of different perspectives. And so now we have the Julian chapter as well. And so I hope that you will go to the shelf, and I hope that you will check out Wonder and the Julian chapter. They're two really, really good books. Wonder is taking the world by storm, and it's all about treating others the way we would want to be treated ourselves. And just because somebody was born with a horrible deformity doesn't mean that we are going to bully them or be mean to them or make fun of them. And so I really, really hope that you'll take a look at Wonder, and that you'll like it, and that you'll also look at the Julian chapter, which is the sequel to Wonder.